Hi, 5 things I would never do as a secure partner and someone who has healed their anxious attachment style anymore. Welcome back to another episode. It's kind of autumn here. It's the 5th of September and I've already bought some autumn decoration, wearing my autumn handmade jewelry, and even Maya Bear, who's very autumn looking, is today here. She just left as I said it. She's a bit shy today, but hey. Welcome to another episode of the Anxious and Secure podcast. I'm Yula, and let's just dive in right away. Isn't she cute? It's still really hot. I'm still wearing in a t-shirt and I'm sweating. The aircon is on like 28 degrees, but that's way too hot still for me. I'm still able to swim in the sea. I can never really wear a jacket, definitely not, and not even a jumper, unless I'm very lucky and I go outside after like maybe 10 o'clock in winter. But yeah, that's the beauty about living in a hot country. And I kind of miss the Greenwich days when my partner and I lived in London, when we were able to take really long walks along the Thames towards Greenwich, when all this huge park and the entire leaves turned from this really beautiful green color to like golden leaves started to falling, and we were literally feeding the squirrels. But yeah, I'm also grateful for now being here in this country and not having to get up in the morning when it's very cold and rainy and depressing. Right now I'm binge watching Gossip Girl all over again because that's giving me the autumn vibe every time I watch it. And yeah, now enough of me and more to you. And so maybe you can learn a few things from what I would never do again as a secure, best version of myself. And as you can see, my makeup is melting here, so don't mind me wiping it all away throughout the entire episode. So healing my anxious attachment style didn't just change how I feel in relationships and how I showed up. It changed what I tolerate, how I respond, and how I treat myself when I'm with someone right now, someone I love, even friendships and even around family members. If you are new here, again, I've healed my anxious attachment style around a few years back now, I think 4 or 5 years. And now I know a few things I would never do accept anymore. Never say never, but mostly at least. Here are 5 things I would not do anymore, and what I would do now instead, that I value myself more and listen for the last step, which might be the 6th bonus step. I think my favorite part out of all of these steps. So the first thing is I don't say the boundary 5 times with no consequences. I would not do this anymore. So old me, I used to say things like, when voices get raised, I want to take a break. I would go into a different room and separate myself from the situation. But then I would stay. I would do it all over again. I would accept someone raising their voices at me, and I would just let it happen over and over and over again. Or I would, in my first relationship, and there were moments where we had this long distant relationship going on when I was in Bielefeld studying and he was still in Bremen. My partner put me last, especially towards the end of our relationship. And he prioritized seeing his friends first, doing things for himself first. At the end, I felt I was annoying him. I was a burden towards him. I'm sorry, is the lighting really off today? I feel like it's so bright. So my boundary in that moment would have been, a relationship takes effort from both sides, and I need us both to contribute more equally. And I also don't want to feel like I'm always being put last. I want to feel like I matter, and I didn't at all. And old me, I didn't reinforce it, didn't speak up for what I wanted, and I kept letting it happen over and over and over again. I was scared of conflict, scared of losing him especially, scared of expressing my needs. Him put me last over and over again, teaching my nervous system I don't matter. I don't deserve to be treated the same equally. And I don't really respect myself. So I remember sitting in the car. It was like a shared car thing going on between, traveling from Bielefeld to Bremen. And I was like fuming, and I was so, tearful. I was really trying to hold my tears back in front of these strangers who I was sharing a car with. And I was like, you know what? This is the last time. I'm not going to accept this anymore. and I was slowly detaching from him and the relationship. And yeah, I wasn't going to accept this anymore. And secure me now, though, as a securely attached version of myself, I wouldn't set a boundary and let it be crossed over and over and over again without consequences, without me saying, you know what, I'm going to remove myself from the situation, from this room. I'm going to deny like my partner or my friends or someone access to me. I'm going to just accept it. If now someone raises their voices in my environment towards me, I remove myself from the situation. I'm going to express that this is not okay. I would express that we talk to each other in a lower voice, in a normal way, in a respectful way. Boundaries set not as a punishment for someone else, but for me to prove myself. I love myself. I respect myself. And this is not how you can treat me. So what am I going to do? I'm going to remove myself from the situation. And if this happens repeatedly, what am I going to do? I will be willing to walk away because clearly that person doesn't respect me. If you have a fear of abandonment, if you have an anxious attachment style, this is very hard. I've done the training, the nervous system regulation work, the belief work, and all of this to actually be able to get to that point. So don't worry, you can get there too. So now I don't punish anyone. I don't over-explain it over and over again. And I just trust that I can be able to be there for myself and set consequences to not teach others, but to teach my nervous system and to myself that I respect myself. I love myself enough to teach myself what I deserve. The second thing I would no longer accept and never do again as a securely attached version of myself and partner is I don't go just along with things that feel bad just to avoid some tension or an uncomfortable emotion. Old me, I said yes to lots of things, even though I didn't want to. Going out when I was exhausted or when I just didn't want to see these people because I wasn't friends with them or when it wasn't my thing, saying I'm fine all the time when I was not fine, just because it was simpler and was easier. Agreeing to things just to avoid the dreadful, awkward silences. Or I thought if I said no, maybe they would have negative thoughts about me. They would think I'm weird and I'm annoying and not a people person, or I was selfish. And now, as a securely attached version of myself, I honor what I actually want first. And then at that time, I didn't even know always what I wanted. So now I just slow down and I figure out what I want first. And if I don't know this, I just say this. I'm going to say, you know what? I'll get back to you. I don't force myself to answer right away just because I feel like I have to say something because everyone does. Even if it's Christmas and everyone always expects you to see your family, right? Nowadays, I don't have to show up just because it's always been done this way. Attention doesn't mean rejection and it's dangerous. And self-respect doesn't mean you're being mean as well. And that is huge for an ex-people pleaser like me. Swimming against the current was very difficult for me, but nowadays I'm okay to sit in this discomfort. Doesn't mean it's easy, but I'm able to realize this is just an emotion and I can sit with it. And it doesn't mean people will leave. The right people will stay. And 3 is I don't chase connection anymore when it's not being met at least halfway. And the third part is I don't chase connection when it's not being met overall, when it's met halfway. I would go into fixing mode. Like I would text a lot, triple text, over text, send very long paragraphs, and I would overthink situation and have this what if loop constantly going on before bed, when I was waking up, when something felt off. I was over apologizing in situations, even when I really didn't do anything wrong, just because I felt like there was something between us and attention, and staying late at parties, even my body, begged me to just leave. Secretly scrolling on my phone and counting the minutes until I could just escape, and planning all the escape routes and excuses in my head already. and saying yes to last minute plans I didn't want to go, like driving hours to meet someone or offering to help friends or my partner with things I didn't have time for, even though I was stretched so thin already and feeling resentful afterwards, but then swallowing it to keep the peace, because otherwise I would feel, oh, they're going to reject me. So I would then panic, like, are they mad at me? Is something wrong? And I would try to fix the situation, to fix the mood, so everything is smoothened out. And now I can pause and I can check in with myself and I can ask, is this really about this person, or is this poking an old wound, like an abandonment wound, a wound that I never really felt good enough, that like an old fear that I would be worried that if I would be truly showing up as my authentic self, that would maybe they wouldn't like it, they wouldn't like me, and they would eventually leave and find someone better, a better friend, better partner, something like this. So sometimes I would then still reach out from a more grounded place after I've worked, through this a little bit more. And I would say maybe something like, hey, I noticed there was a little bit of space between us, all good if you're busy, just checking in. And I was detaching from the outcome. I was detaching from, I needed them to reply to me. I needed them to follow up with me, to meet me X times a month, a week, because yes, I wanted my friends to meet me often, but I can't change how often they want to meet me or not. And I'm not adding meaning into it. That means I'm a bad friend or they don't like me. I just can stay calm, stay open, but also anchored in this moment, without chasing, without mind reading, and without having resentful moments towards the other person, and just staying with me and loving myself with loving boundaries. And 4 is I don't just stay silent just to be easy. I used to think if I'm just cool and relaxed and easygoing and don't say anything and very low maintenance, I will be loved. But if you swallow your needs and just fake to be this cool girl and relaxed and chill and spontaneous, which I never was, I would just smile through disappointment. I would never really show who I really was. And it's very exhausting. It's very inauthentic, and you never really create a deep connection, and you create so much anxiety behind this. And deep down, I really felt, alone and unseen. And only later on, when I only showed up for who I am and saying, hey, you know what? I need things to be a certain way. I like to know what's going on, if we have any weekend plans or what's happening the next month. I was relating to so many other people who felt the same way. And I was like, hey, you know what? There's nothing wrong with this. This is just my preference. And if I meet people who are a similar way, amazing. And usually we're again attached to partners who are different, but you can still compromise and focus on your own stuff and not trying to change them. But it just felt so much more, peaceful and relaxing, just to be you and express your needs. And if the person then somehow meets you in the middle, it is like the best thing you can do. Showing up in a relationship where you don't try to change the other partner, but you just still express your needs, and somehow you focus on your needs, they focus on their needs. You come as two whole people into the relationship, and you can then still meet yourself in the middle where it's needed. It's the most relaxing thing. The next step is number 5. The 5th thing I would not do anymore is a securely attached, transformed version of myself is I don't make everything mean something about me as a person. I don't add some meaning into that I'm not good enough because of someone else did something or said something or looked at me in a certain way, or that I'm flawed, because that's very typical. So I used to think if someone messaged me or little or didn't want to hang out with me a lot, it meant they don't care about me and that I am not important, that I am not lovable in a way, that I am not a good friend, that they just literally don't care about me, that I'm a bad person. Not a bad person maybe, but that they have more exciting friends, maybe more funnier friends, or that this is something wrong with me in the end. Or if there's a quiet tone in my partner's communication with me that I did something wrong, or they are disconnecting from our relationship because I'm not good enough for him, or if a friend canceled again a date night, like a friend, I thought, you know what, I just don't matter. I'm not important enough. If they would really cared about us, they wouldn't cancel so many times. And now, as a securely attached version of myself, I know that if they cancel, if they don't reply as often, if they are quiet, that is about them and their little flaws, let's say. Maybe it's not even flaws, but I know sometimes it is. But whatever they do is about them. It doesn't always make it mean something about me. I can just be curious. I don't have to fixate on them to convince them to be my friend or chase them harder. For example, if someone would have laughed in a group without talking to me or being very warm with me, I would think they laugh about the way I looked, about how I move. I would so get insecure about me and myself. I was always think, must be about me, right? They must be talking about me. But it's not all about you. It's not all about me. Anxiously attached, you have the core belief, I'm not okay, but you're okay. So it's very typical to take everything personal and to make it something mean about your enoughness, your self-worth. And I'm now, as a more secure version of myself, I'm not. Yes, this old story still comes up weekly or monthly, but now I'm able to challenge this. I'm able to say, hey, you know what? This is my anxious story, my old anxious story, and maybe it's not true. What else could be true? And I'm able to label it, challenge it, and find a new truth in here. And that's very important. And quick interruption before I go to the very next powerful point that I don't want you to miss. I want to share with you that, you know what? I've seen you. I've been very similar like you. If you're anxiously attached, or even if you have a disorganized attachment style, leaning more anxious, you don't need your partner to show up differently for you, right? He's probably already reassuring you a lot and giving you some kind of love in their form, in their love language. So you don't need more reassurance. You don't need more podcasts or YouTube videos or self-help books. You don't need to Google at 10 o'clock in the evening what's happening, if this is normal, how the way they respond, or checking on Reddit what they should do and how to fix this, okay? And you don't need to fix yourself either. There's nothing wrong with you. All you need right now is just to regulate your nervous system and show yourself that you're already good enough, that you're already lovable, and there's nothing to fix about yourself. To create security from within and not from outside, not from a text, not from someone else's reassurance, from someone else's validation, or from someone else's response to you in your relationship or in your friendship scenarios. And I can help you with that if you want my help. You can also connect with other coaches if you want, but I'm here if you want to choose me in your supporting coaching journey. And I have a support that doesn't require you to show your face on coaching calls without having to wait 2 weeks for another coaching call to be available. You can text me every day or every other day whenever you feel anxious, whenever you're overthinking the scenario, whenever you had a moment where you think, oh my God, is this my fear or is it a fact? What is actually going on? After a trigger, after a conflict, you can just text me. I can reassure you, validate you, and gently coach you and maybe show you moments that you might have not realized where it's actually linked to your past, and what you can do in this moment to show up for yourself, to not reinforce these anxious loops, to really create a security from within. And that's where my text and talk support program can really guide you. It's like a WhatsApp or Telegram support where I text with you back and forth and give you really step-by-step guides. And there's also a Google Drive folder where I can give you additional resources like some of my worksheets, step-by-step guides, and other visuals as an additional resource. So there are 2 levels of support available. There's the friends offer for like up to 1 weekly touch point. And there's the best friend level of support, which is much more in depth, which is unlimited text between you and me, between, again, Monday and Friday, between the office hours. So check out the links in the description. So this is not for any abusive relationships. You can either hop on a free call beforehand, or email me to make sure you're the right fit for this program. I don't want to coach anyone who is not a right match for this. So let's go. Let's continue. This is the last final step. Number 6, like a little bonus thing I would not do anymore, as now my best version of myself. And that is, I stopped believing every anxious thought meant I'm in danger. Back then, I only truly believed if I'm feeling anxious, this must mean there's something wrong in my relationship, within myself, somewhere here, right? And this is actually a cognitive distortion. It's called, if you're feeling something, this must mean insert, your belief, and you're jumping you're jumping to conclusions based on an emotion. And if you're great and in tune with your intuition, sometimes and often this can be true. However, if you have anxiety works very similar as an intuition, and we can't always follow this. So it's important to also to check the facts of the situation. And then with that, then you can get curious and say, what else do I need? What other information do I actually need to create more of a base conclusion here that is more neutral and that I actually know based on facts, not just feelings? So my body would really go into high alert mode and try to fix and talk and overdo and do all of these things just to feel safe, because I thought, I'm running away from a bear, I'm under attack, I have to do something, fix something. But here's what I've learned now as being more secure within myself. Anxiety does not always mean there's a threat. Anxiety wants to make us believe, though, there's a threat. So we want to regulate ourselves and realize, am I really in danger or not? And if you're running 500 miles an hour, if you have racing thoughts and you think this is very urgent, you have to act now, you have to do something now, take a step back, because that's usually anxiety. Intuition is usually slower, soft voice, gently guiding us towards an answer. So sometimes it just means our nervous system is dysregulated and overstimulated and has been wired for seeing everything as a sign of danger. And if you're swimming in this ocean and suddenly feel panic in your chest, it doesn't always mean there's a shark, right? And I can literally agree with this, because right now in the summer times, my partner, has been going to work between Mondays and Fridays, while I've been going swimming alone here during lunchtime, just for like an hour or so, just to get movement going. And there are not many people swimming here where I choose to go swimming. And I literally have this fear of, oh my God, what if there's something in the water? What if there is even a shark, even though we don't have any sharks here? But that is literally my fear, my anxiety, my heart rate is increasing. And what if there are jellyfish? And that can happen occasionally. Since we moved here, I think, was it now 2 years ago? No jellyfish has ever touched me. Once one has touched my partner, but guess what? What is the worst case scenario here? I don't think even it stung him. Like, it touched him and maybe he felt a little bit uncomfortable. Maybe it was a little bit irritated, but that's it. And if I would swim out a lot in a jellyfish, or like lots of jellyfish could touch me, then okay, it could get maybe dangerous. But then again, the anxiety wants us to believe we are in danger. So what can I do in this situation? Not swim out too far. So I'm really not in danger, but my brain, every time I go into the water, I still need to regulate myself. Remember, the worst thing that can happen is usually there's maybe 1 or 2 jellyfish, and maybe they're going to touch me. Maybe it's going to be very painful or like irritating, but I will survive it. And in your relationship, what's the worst thing that can happen? Someone breaks your heart, but even that, they're not going to break your heart literally. You're going to feel emotional pain. And the more you're going to actually learn to prevent emotional pain by learning to regulate your emotions and sitting with it and learning all of these tools, the more you can even prevent that worst case scenario. However, you can't prevent hurt in general. You can't prevent what your partner might do. You can't prevent what they will do. Like, I can't prevent jellyfish from appearing. I can only show up and see what can I do to prevent the worst case from happening. Like, fixating on them and just increasing my anxiety, because then I might actually panic and maybe swallow water and then actually drown because I'm so hyperfixated. I'm so full of panic. And if you are fixated and panic and full of anxiety, you actually push your partner away. The probably worst case scenario in your eyes. So really learn to separate what is your anxiety telling you and what is actually dangerous in your relationship, in your friendships, and regulate your nervous system. And you can ask yourself, what does my body truly feel like when I am in danger? Think about maybe past moments versus what does my body feel like when I'm just anxious and I'm adding stories onto the situation, like my partner's quiet and I'm making it mean they're not into me anymore. What do you feel here? What's the difference? And again, if you want more support, coaching support, WhatsApp support, and text and talk support, or even my mini courses or free resources, check the links below. And I'm so happy I'm here with you and you made it this far in this episode. Enjoy the rest of the autumn or whenever you listen to this podcast episode, and I'll see you soon. Remember, change in your relationship starts with you, thought by thought and action by action. And now, episode by episode, lots of love, Yula. Bye bye.